Hello, gutsy ladies. I hope that you are having an amazing time during She Week, and welcome to Power in the Pivot. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Laura Wallace, also known as the Laura Aura. I'm a branding and mindset coach for female entrepreneurs, CEO of Worx & Co., which is an urban branding studio, and the hostess of the Gutsy podcast. Today, I'm going to tell you a little crazy story about my personal journey in taking my power back by pivoting. How you can go from exhausted, anxious, and consumed by fear to having a peaceful, thriving life and business. Today, you're going to learn how you can take your power back by pivoting. And we're also going to focus on 4 key areas where you can take your power back and reclaim what is yours. And that includes your voice, your energy, your finances, and your business. So first, I think it's really important to identify, what do some of these terms mean? What is power? That can be skewed in a lot of different ways, right? To me, power is showing up as yourself, unapologetically, 100%. It's making decisions that support your life. It's saying no to things that drain you. It's doing hard things to protect your peace. And it's speaking up and asking for help when you need it. And pivoting. Well, if you're a Friends fan, we all know the famous scene where Ross is pivoting the couch. So that's automatically the first place that I go. But pivoting today is kind of similar, right? It's taking a hard left or a hard right, and sometimes it seems a little bit crazy or a little outlandish. It's deciding to make a change and then putting action behind it. It's implementing that change, regardless of how radical or spontaneous it may seem to other people. It's listening to and following your gut. It's doing something big or small, and it's committing to the higher good of you, your life, and those around you. Silencing your power, gosh, it just does so many things. It causes ongoing stress and anxiety. It's going to leave you feeling empty and drained, like you just don't feel like yourself. It puts you in this crazy reactive state where you're just constantly reacting to everything versus responding to it. It takes away your joy, your peace, your happiness, and it stops you from doing the things that you love to do. Maybe worst of all, it costs you a lot. It costs you a lot of time, it costs you a lot of money, and it costs you a lot of joy. So then fear. Fear loves to play. Fear loves to come along and be part of your ride. And it also tries to trick you. Fear quite literally lives in our subconscious. It's your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe and trying to keep you protected. Fear tries to tell you that, because the outcome is unknown, we probably shouldn't do this. You start to worry about how it's going to affect other people. You feel like you can't do it. You don't feel like you're worthy enough to do it. You start feeling like, this is too big. This is too above me. I don't really know what I'm doing. So that's overwhelming. So I'm going to shut down. Sometimes it just feels easier just to deal with it. And you know what? The things you're doing are things you've always known. So why change it now? Well, let me tell you why. Because I was there. And I was in the point where maybe some of you are feeling now, and that's a whole array of emotions that we're about to talk about. We're going to talk pre-COVID, because now we have these bookmarks in our life, right? So before COVID, I was in a constant state of stress. Constant. I vibrated on such a high stress level that I didn't even realize what I was doing to myself and to my body. My health going downhill on a daily basis. I was constantly in fight mode. Literally, like every day I woke up and I was like, all right, what battle do I need to fight today? What do I need to charge at? Who needs me? What do I need to do? I started feeling really empty and desperate. Like I was just pulling strings and like, oh yeah, that seems like a good idea. Let's do that. I couldn't sleep. I was always worried. And honestly, I just felt really defeated and unhappy. I just wasn't feeling great in myself and in my life and in my business. I started to isolate myself from family events. I was too tired. I didn't have the energy. And honestly, it just seemed easier to just be alone. My business started falling apart quite literally. I started resenting the thing that I created. The very thing that I set out to do, I started to resent. I was in uncontrollable debt. I'm talking like every day it was just like, how do I make ends meet? How do I just keep my head above water? What's that saying? If you rob Peter to pay Paul? There was a whole slew of people. I almost lost my house twice. I let down my team, the people on the front line with me. And I was ready to give up. I was ready to be like, you know what? Clearly this is not my thing. It is falling apart. I feel sick. I don't know what to do, but I just kept fighting. And then COVID. Need I say more? We could put a period at the end of that sentence. Look, I run a branding and marketing studio, and I know from the almost 20 years in this industry that anytime finances get tight in businesses, branding and marketing, first thing to go. It's the easiest, it's the most disposable. Now, I could put on a different hat and tell you why that should not be, but we'll save that for another day. Look, I did not have reserve. I couldn't continue to put my family and my employees through so much uncertainty. I was maxed out basically in every capacity of my life, and I was sacrificing my life for fear of change. You know, I've been feeling these like small voices, getting these small gut, inclinations. Like, I could kind of hear it, but I was like, that's not what we're doing. Like, that's not what I'm going to keep fighting this because this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I know that I want to do. Well, COVID had another idea. I had to pivot in order to take my power back. Because here's the thing, even as crappy as I felt and as down and out and as beat up as I felt on a daily basis, I had this burn in my heart and in my gut and in my soul because I had a vision and I knew it and I could see it and I could feel it and I could taste it. And I was like, I just realized I was fighting a battle that no longer belonged to me. The universe was trying to get me on the right path. And sometimes it takes a huge life-changing situation. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's not. But sometimes it's those little moments or even those big moments that cause us to pause and say, you know what? Something needs to change. I knew that to salvage any ounce of what I built, I had to make hard changes. I had to make hard choices and I had to pivot. So on March 18th, I came into the office and I made the really hard but very necessary decision to lay off my team. I packed up everything that I needed, my iMac, my mouse, my keyboard, my papers, my client files. I packed up everything that I needed and I moved back into my home basement for what would be the next 3 months. We thought it was going to be 2 weeks. I proactively called all of my clients. Hey, how are you? What's going on? What can I do for you? How can I be of service? I called every single person that I owed money to, every one of them. And that is hard and that is ugly work, right? Like easier out of sight, out of mind, like just put that shit in the drawer. Yeah, that drawer never really goes away unless you deal with it. So I called them. Where am I? What do I owe you? What are the payment terms? What can we do to work together? I cried like a child on more occasions than I probably care to admit. And I worked my ass off. But this time it was a different kind of work. This time it was a different type of survival mode. It was fighting for something that I knew was on the other side. Then the dust started to settle. That heightenedness, that like March, April, May timeframe, where everything was just vibrating at such a high level and at such a high speed. Some of that dust started to settle and all of that heightenedness started to calm down. And I heard a little voice in the back of my head. And I heard, what does Laura want? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that in a while. You see, I had been so caught up in the day-to-day, in the grind, like fight mode, how do I save the world, or at least my little corner of it today. And I had gotten away from my core purpose, my why, the reason I started this damn business to begin with. I hadn't asked myself, what does Laura want? And I probably couldn't tell you how long. So in a 3-month time frame, I pivoted. And on the other side of that pivot, I took my power back because I started listening to myself instead of what everyone else told me that I needed to do, what everyone else expected me to do, all the obligations, all the you should and you could and all this stuff coming at me. I just literally cleared the playing field and answered myself. Because I did that, I launched my personal brand, lauraora.com, something that I had been wanting to do for ages. I created digital products, creating passive income. I'm working with selective branding clients that I absolutely adore. I paid off all of my home debt and all my past due bills, now outside of cars and mortgage, but all those lingering things, the past due, the notices with the stamps, and the we're gonna take this and all that stuff that was like, building up out of that drawer, paid off. And I decreased my business expenses by over $20,000 a month. Yeah, big stuff. But making those decisions, doing those things only comes after you make some of those initial hard decisions. But I can tell you on the other side of this, ladies, look, I feel like a whole nother person. Let me be honest with you. I feel so much peace and happiness. I'm excited about my life and my business again. I am way more present at home, at work, wherever I am. I feel like I actually am now. I'm laughing, I'm having more fun, I'm motivated to keep going, and I'm focused and driven. I'm no longer doing what I should be doing. I'm doing what I want to be doing. And this is where I want to empower you to do the same. Now, listen, every person's journey is a little bit different, and sometimes it's a big monumental pivot, and sometimes it's just these little tiny movements in our lives. But I can tell you that if you make that initial decision, if you do that initial pivot, everything that you see, feel, taste on the inside can be your reality on the outside. Now, in your packet, you should have received a handy dandy worksheet. The next couple of slides, we're going to work through this together, and I'm going to give you some pointers, some tips, and suggestions on how you can take your power back, particularly in 4 key areas of your life. The number one thing I want to tell you here is Rome was not built in a day, and I'm not expecting you to reroute your entire life overnight. Okay, let's just put that down, put it to bed. That is not the purpose here. The purpose here is taking a little bit of your power back from little areas of your life, one at a time. Focus on one thing and take that power back. Focus on another and take that power back. And before you know it, taking all that power back, all it does is enrich you. It fills you up, it fills your tank, it makes you more of who you already are. It lets her out. So, one thing at a time, okay? Got it. The very first thing I want you to do is ask yourself that question. What does blank want? What does Susie want? What does Gretchen want? What does Aaron want? Put your name in this line, and I really want you to sit with this. And this is an exercise that you may need to do offline, or just really go into a meditation, or sit outside, or just grab a cup of coffee or wine. Chardonnay, okay? But I want you to sit down and really get quiet with yourself and say, what do I want? When is the last time that you asked yourself that question? On the back of the worksheet, there's just a little space, a little area for you to start working on that. But keep a journal, keep a notebook, hell, keep a napkin and a ballpoint pen. I don't care where you write it down your arm if you need to. But I really want you to just start living in the space of, what do I actually want? I also want to encourage you to give yourself the chance to play in the space of what if. So many times we get wrapped up in how do I do it? And I don't have enough money to do that. And how am I going to get there? And I don't know the perfect ending, so why should I even begin in the first place? I want you to just use this time to play in the space of what if. And what I mean by that is, what if none of those things mattered? What would you do? Where would you go? How would you change your life? What are you missing in your life that you would go after? What is missing in your business? What are some things in your business that don't belong there anymore? We're going to get to that slide. But I really want you to just go after what you want and write it down. It's a sacred, there's no right answers, there's no wrong answers. And I want you to make a list of all the things that you've been wanting to do but haven't. I don't care the reason, but I want you to just spend some time writing down the things that have been calling you. You've been either hearing it in the back of your head or feeling it in your gut, or you're like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I... Start jotting some of those things down. Get them out of your brain. There's an energy transformation that happens when you take it out of your brain, through your hand, and onto paper. Ask yourself, what do you truly want in life? Are you happy exactly where you are right now? I'm going to guess that if you have joined me in this presentation, that there's maybe just a little bit of something somewhere that is calling you to pivot. So the first area that I'm going to guide you in taking your power back is in your voice. Your beautiful voice. One of the most powerful things that you have, but often gets silenced. On the worksheet on number 1, there's a little box. And again, you may not have enough room. I think you've got a really cool notebook along with S.H.E Week, whatever you need to do. But the first thing I want you to do is write down all of the times that you say yes when you want to say no. Yes. That board of directors that you didn't want to join, but you felt obligated to. That volunteer thing at the school that you were like, I just really don't want to. Absolutely, I would love to. All of the clients that you take on that you're like, oh, this is probably not going to go well. I probably shouldn't do this. But yes, Mr. or Mrs. Client, I would love to take you on. There are more times in your life where you are saying yes to please other people, where you should be saying no to please yourself. Because all of these things are energy suckers, right? Like all of these yeses are little tiny bits and pieces of your power. And that's what I mean by like taking your power back can be just literally in a single moment. It's saying, thank you so much for considering me for that, but right now is not a good time. I'm not interested, but thank you. And if you really want to help them out, give them a name of somebody else, but you don't even owe anyone that. Taking your power back in this moment is by saying no when you say no when you actually said yes. The next part of this exercise is I want you to circle the first one that you're going to take your power back. So the next time you are asked that question, the next time that you're asked to be part of something, where are you going to start? By saying no. Where are you going to start reclaiming your power? By using your voice. The second place I want to empower you to take your energy back is through your energy. I talked earlier about taking it out of your head and through your hand and onto paper is such a beautiful energy exchange. In the second slot on your worksheet are 2 boxes. On the left, I want you to write down all of the things that drain your energy. These are tasks that you do. These are activities that you're involved in, groups that you're involved in, places that you go, people that you see. People. There's a place for people on here, guys. But every time that you catch yourself going, oh, I just don't want to, or, oh, I don't really want to be with that person, but I'm going to anyway. I'm going to do this thing even though I don't really want to. Where are you giving away your power by committing your energy to other people? Because they want you, not because you want to be there. And then in the right box, I want you to write down all of the things that fill your tank. All the things that you wish you had more time to do. If you had more time to do these things, what would they be? Is it going to wineries? Is it going to shows? Is it traveling? Is it, what fills your tank? Is it just sitting alone, quietly, reading a magazine on your front porch? All the things that fill your tank, that just inspire your energy. Those are the little moments where you get to start taking your power back. And when you start to see these columns, you're going to see that left column is probably going to be fairly dense. And that right column, you might even be struggling to figure that out. maybe it's gotten so deep that maybe you've forgotten what fills your tank. By being aware of the stuff in the left column, you're going to be able to say, haha, Laura told me that is where I'm giving away some of my power. How can I reclaim that power in this moment? By saying, no, thank you, or just not doing it, or not signing up, or not going. Look, just because there's a family function doesn't mean that you have to be there. You don't owe anyone anything. Your energy is sacred. It's yours. It's beautiful. But if everyone's pulling away from it, what are you left with? I want to see that flip-flop over time. I'd love to see more in that right column. And then they're no longer going to be things that I wish that I could do. They're going to be, look at all the things that I actively do to fill my tank. The third area that you get to take your power back is your finances. Money, 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 ladies. All right, look, I sucked at money for a really long time. I will admit that. But I learned how to take my power back with my money, because when there was none, when it was scarcity, I'm talking like desert scene, like haven't drank in 17 days. We're talking dry. On the other side of this, there's abundance, and it's beautiful, and it feels amazing. On the back of the worksheet, and this is definitely not going to be enough room, but it is most certainly is enough room to get you started. We're going to take our power back by taking back control of our finances. Look, it is so easy to get wrapped up in money here, money there, this subscription, that subscription. It goes everywhere, and we don't even realize it. So there are two boxes here. On the left, I want you to document every single expense. I want you to include every subscription, every bill, every financial commitment. And the easiest way to do this, because it's super easy to forget about it, especially like, that $2.99 iTunes subscription or the gym subscription that you haven't used since January. It's okay, we've all been there. I want you to go through the last 3 months of your bank statements. Print them out, get them online, and that's really that tells all. That tells you what's going out the door and how much. It also is going to remind you of some of those recurring things that maybe you have forgotten. Now, I love a good spreadsheet when it comes to this because it does some math for me, but this worksheet is definitely a way to get started. So on the left, you're documenting every single expense that you have on a monthly basis. On the right column, I want you to write down all of the ones that you're going to cancel today. Literally. Do I need this? No. Is that contributing to my wealth, my well-being, my future goals? Is this getting me to where I want to be? No? Okay. Then guess what? You don't need that $2.99 iTunes subscription right now. And no offense to iTunes, I love them. I have all kinds of stuff. But just as an example, sometimes we think that we need more things than we actually need to do the things that we need to do. Does that make sense? So if you think about subscriptions for work, subscriptions for home, all of these things, all these tools, how many things have you started and you're like, oh, I'll cancel it when that free trial is over? You don't. Look, I had 3 or 4 that were just running in the background. It's literally like money flying out the back window in the middle of a snowstorm. It's like the heat going out the back door, right? You're like, why is it constantly staying cold in here? Because you have the back door open. So right now, I want you to close down some of those cracks and crevices in the windows of your house by removing unnecessary expenses. Now, here's something really important that I want you to remember, because sometimes this can feel like you're punishing yourself, oh, I have to take away my stuff, and that doesn't really feel good. 2 things. First of all, this is not forever. This is right now. Right now, if you need to take your power back in your finances, if this is an area that's really calling you, you're like, you know what, I just haven't really felt in control of my money in a really long time, then this is the area that I really want you to focus on first. And second of all, you can do hard things. You have lived without these things before, and they can come back. You've got this. I believe in you. And you're going to be really surprised at how many of those things that you actually don't really need, even though you've convinced yourself that you do. So this is a bigger exercise. Again, take the last 3 months of your bank statements, write down all of your recurring monthly expenses. Go through, highlight, circle, whatever you need to do, put a box around it, all the ones that aren't necessary to get you to your goal. When you get there, if you need them back, then okay. But guess what? You're going to give yourself your power back to be able to get to that actual goal that you've been feeling on the inside. All right? Last but not least, if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are involved in business in any way, this slide is particularly for you. This is where you get to take your power back in your business. So, business can get really wonky very, very quickly. Very quickly. So what I want you to do is write down every service that you offer that doesn't bring you joy and money. In the last one, we were taking our power back by getting control of our finances. And a lot of times in business, we start doing things because we love them, but they're not getting us closer to our goal. A really great friend and a good mentor once told me, he said, do it full price or do it for free, nothing in between. And that has always stuck with me. So I'll share that here with you as well. But on the left column, I want you to write down every service that you're offering that you're like, you know what, I don't really want to do this, but I feel like I have to. These are things that my clients are maybe expecting of me. These are things that I've picked up along the way because my competitors are doing them, so now I feel obligated to do them as well. And then on the right, I want you to write down all of the things you've been wanting to do that also bring you revenue. Now, this could be a service that, really adds on to what your core services already are. Maybe it's a new department. Maybe it's another division. Maybe it's a new product. Maybe you want to develop something like creating a product online to create passive income. That would be incredible if that fits your business model. Now, I want you to really look at those two and start to evaluate what on the left can you eliminate so that you can create time and capacity for the things on the right. Because all of the time and energy that you're putting into the stuff that you don't like doing or doesn't need delegated, first of all, but second of all, is it even necessary? Again, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that it's right for your business. What can you remove from the left column so that you have time, capacity, and energy to invest in the right column? I'm telling you, this is an energy shift in its own. When you take off, you're like, no, I never really liked doing that in the first place. Why in the hell was I offering that? Or I wasn't charging enough for it, or it's more work than what it's worth in money. When you start eliminating those things, you take so much of your power back, and you have the capacity again. Again, you have the time to think and dream and say, if I invested my time that I was giving away over there into something meaningful that actually can grow my business, which is going to help with growing my finances, which is going to help with my energy, which is also going to help me stand up in my voice. I mean, all of these things truly, really are connected. As we start to round out here, I want to remind you of something incredibly important that sometimes, more often than not, you forget. You are insanely worthy. I'm telling you, the worthiest of worthy. You have everything that you need inside you already, right now. And taking your power back in these different areas that we talked about, we could dig in really deep in a lot of different areas. But these are bite-sized ways that you can really start to reclaim your power so that you feel whole again. I want you to feel happy and peaceful. But at first, starts with you believing that you are worthy of that. Again, the vision that you see and feel in your mind and in your body can match your reality. That world that you see and feel and live on the inside can be what actually lives on the outside. You shine so bright when you are 100% unapologetically yourself. And one of the most amazing things about showing up as yourself is you inspire other people to do the same. You're going to start attracting the right people. And this may be in business through partnerships and clients and, just the different interactions that you have in business, but this is also in life through friends, family, maybe a life partner. You're going to amplify the vibrant, strong, successful woman that you already are. You already are. Everything that you need, you were born with. It's inside you. Now it's your chance, it's your opportunity to take your power back and unleash that. Let her out. Let her be who she is and allow that person that you feel on the inside to again be a reality on the outside. There is so much power in pivoting, whether it's large or small, loud or quiet. You have the most amazing opportunity to start reclaiming your power so that you can live the life that you know that you deserve. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this time with you today. I invite you to join me on lauraora.com. I would also love to learn what inspired you today. Where do you feel most compelled and most pulled to take your power back? If you go on social media, tag me at @LauraOra. Be sure to also check out the Gutsy podcast. There's a little slip in your bag as well. The Gutsy podcast is geared all towards female entrepreneurship and taking your power back, and we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous. Again, it's been such an honor. Thank you for investing your time, and thank you for investing in yourself. Much love, and until I see you next time, stay gutsy.